What if I told you that a single discovery could turn science fiction into reality? For centuries, humans have dreamed of exploring the stars. But with our current technology, even reaching the nearest star system, Proxima Centauri, would take over 6,000 years. So, what if we found a breakthrough that could change everything? A discovery so powerful it could slash travel times from thousands of years to just decades, or even less? Scientists may have just uncovered the key to making interstellar travel possible. But what is it? Could this be the start of humanity's journey beyond our solar system? And how soon might we see real-life starships racing through the cosmos? Get ready, because what you're about to learn might change the way you see the future forever. Let's dive in, for as long as humans have looked up at the night sky, we have dreamed of journeying beyond our world. Ancient civilizations mapped the stars, told stories of gods and heroes who traveled among them, and used the cosmos as a guide for their lives. That same fascination has never faded. From Galileo's first telescope to the moon landing and the Mars rovers, we have always pushed the boundaries of what is possible. Yet one dream has remained just out of reach: traveling to the stars themselves. The problem isn't just distance, it's time. The closest star to Earth, Proxima Centauri, is over 4 light-years away. With today's fastest spacecraft, it would take thousands of years to get there. Even our most advanced rockets are limited by the laws of physics and the immense energy required to reach significant fractions of the speed of light. So far, interstellar travel has remained a fantasy, confined to science fiction. But what if that were about to change? What if one discovery could open the gateway to the stars? Scientists and engineers around the world are searching for breakthroughs that could make the impossible a reality. From exotic propulsion systems to revolutionary physics. The future of space travel may not be as far away as we think. Could we finally be standing at the edge of a new era? One where humanity truly becomes an interstellar species? Keep watching, because what we're about to explore might just change everything. Reaching for the stars sounds inspiring, until you realize just how impossible it is with the technology we have today. Rockets have taken us to the moon, sent probes to the outer planets, and even launched missions beyond our solar system. But when it comes to interstellar travel, they might as well be horse-drawn carriages. The problem is simple: speed, or rather, the lack of it. Take the Voyager 1 spacecraft, the fastest object humanity has ever sent into interstellar space. It's traveling at about 38,000 miles per hour. That sounds fast, until you realize that, at that speed, it would take over 70,000 years to reach the nearest star. That's longer than all of human civilization has existed. Even our most ambitious plans for the future, like nuclear propulsion or ion drives, would still require thousands of years to make the journey. Could you survive a 50,000-year journey? Neither could our spacecraft. Then there's the issue of fuel. Traditional rockets rely on chemical propulsion, which means carrying enormous amounts of fuel to generate thrust. But the more fuel you carry, the heavier the spacecraft becomes, requiring even more fuel to move. It's a vicious cycle that makes deep space travel nearly impossible. Even nuclear or fusion-powered engines, while more efficient, still struggle with the fundamental problem of energy requirements. And let's not forget the human factor. A trip lasting thousands of years means sending entire generations of people to live and die on a spaceship, hoping that their distant descendants would eventually reach the destination. The psychological and physical toll of such a mission would be overwhelming. Radiation exposure, resource scarcity, and the sheer isolation of deep space make it nearly unthinkable with our current technology. So, If rockets won't take us to the stars, what will? Scientists are working on ideas that sound like they belong in science fiction, but they might just be the key to making interstellar travel possible. And one discovery in particular could change everything. For decades, interstellar travel has been a fantasy, something we dream about but never expect to see in our lifetime. But what if that were no longer true? What if a discovery so revolutionary could shatter the limits of physics as we know them? Imagine traveling to another star, not in tens of thousands of years, but in a single lifetime. How would that change everything? One of the most mind-bending concepts scientists are exploring is the idea of a warp drive, a technology that could allow a spacecraft to travel faster than light without actually breaking the laws of physics. Inspired by Einstein's theory of relativity, a warp drive wouldn't move a spaceship through space. Instead, it would bend space itself, contracting it in front of the vessel and expanding it behind. Essentially, the spacecraft would remain stationary within a warp bubble, while space itself moves around it. If this sounds like science fiction, that's because it was until recently. In 1994, physicist Miguel Alcubierre proposed a theoretical model for a warp drive that followed the laws of general relativity. At the time, it required exotic forms of energy that seemed impossible to produce. But new research has suggested that a warp bubble could be possible with realistic physics. No need for unattainable negative energy. Scientists like Harold White and other researchers in advanced propulsion labs have been working on refinements that could make this concept more than just a theory, and warp drives aren't the only game changer. Antimatter propulsion, which harnesses the immense energy released when matter and antimatter collide, could provide a nearly unimaginable level of thrust. Just a few grams of antimatter could produce the energy equivalent of a nuclear bomb, potentially cutting interstellar travel time to just decades instead of millennia. While creating and storing antimatter remains a huge challenge, progress in particle physics is slowly pushing us closer to making it viable. Whether it's bending space itself or harnessing the most powerful energy source in the universe, these revolutionary ideas could finally break the barriers holding us back. If even one of them proves practical, it wouldn't just mean faster travel. It would herald a new era for humanity. But how close are we to making this a reality? Let's find out. At first glance, the idea of traveling to another star in a matter of years instead of millennia seems like pure science fiction. After all, Einstein's theory of relativity states that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. But what if we didn't have to? What if we could manipulate the very fabric of space itself? This is where the science behind warp, drives, and other advanced propulsion methods comes into play. Is this just a fantasy? Or are we standing on the edge of the next giant leap for mankind? Einstein's equations describe space and time as part of a single, interconnected fabric known as space-time. This fabric can bend, stretch, and even warp in the presence of mass and energy. A warp drive would take advantage of this by contracting space in front of a spacecraft and expanding it behind, allowing the ship to ride a wave of distorted space-time. The ship itself wouldn't break the speed of light. It would simply move space around it, bypassing that limitation entirely. One of the biggest challenges has always been energy. Early calculations suggested that creating a warp bubble would require exotic matter with negative energy, something that, as far as we know, doesn't naturally exist. But recent breakthroughs, including new interpretations of Einstein's field equations, suggest that a warp effect could be possible with far less energy than originally thought, potentially even with forms of energy we can generate. Scientists like Eric Lentz have proposed alternative models that don't require negative energy at all, bringing the concept closer to reality. Then there's quantum mechanics, the strange, unpredictable world of the very small. Some theories suggest that manipulating quantum fields or harnessing quantum fluctuations could create the conditions needed for a warp effect. Others look at antimatter as a potential power source. Since the energy released from matter-antimatter, annihilation far surpasses that of chemical rockets. If we could safely produce and store antimatter, it could provide the immense energy needed to bend space-time or accelerate a spacecraft to a significant fraction of the speed of light. These concepts are no longer confined to theoretical physics papers. Researchers are actively running experiments, refining models, and searching for ways to make these ideas practical. If just one of these breakthroughs becomes feasible, it would mark the dawn of a new era, one where the vast distances between stars no longer define the limits of our reach. The question is, how long until we get there? If interstellar travel became a reality, it wouldn't just change how we explore space, it would redefine what it means to be human. Imagine looking up at the night sky, knowing that those distant stars aren't just unreachable points of light, but actual destinations. Imagine boarding a spacecraft and traveling to an entirely new world, one untouched by human civilization. If you could visit another star system, would you go? And, more importantly, what would you find? The impact on society would be profound. For the first time in history, humanity would no longer be confined to Earth. Overpopulation, resource scarcity, and environmental collapse, problems that seem insurmountable today, could be addressed by expanding beyond our home planet. A single habitable exoplanet could provide living space and resources for billions. Entire civilizations could emerge on new worlds, each evolving in unique ways as they adapt to different planetary conditions. The economic implications would be just as staggering. Space industries would explode overnight, creating new markets and opportunities beyond anything we can imagine. Mining asteroids and planets could unlock resources far beyond Earth's supply, eliminating shortages of rare materials. Entire interstellar trade networks could form, connecting planets and space stations much like the ancient Silk Road connected civilizations on Earth. The nations and corporations that invest early in interstellar travel could become the superpowers of a new spacefaring age. And then there's the philosophical impact. For centuries, we have wondered whether we are alone in the universe. If we gain the ability to reach distant stars, that question could finally be answered. What if we find alien life, not just microbes, but intelligent civilizations? How would that change our understanding of ourselves? Or what if we travel the cosmos and find nothing but silence? Would that make us treasure life on Earth even more, knowing how rare and fragile it truly is? Interstellar travel wouldn't just be a technological breakthrough, it would be the beginning of a new chapter in human history. It would challenge everything we know about society, economics, and even our place in the universe. But how close are we to making this dream a reality? Could the first steps toward the stars happen within our lifetime? Let's take a look at where we stand today. The dream of interstellar travel is thrilling, but with it comes challenges that extend far beyond technology. If humanity reaches the stars, we won't just be explorers, we could become colonizers, competitors, or even threats to whatever we find. Are we truly ready for the consequences of becoming an interstellar species? One of the biggest ethical dilemmas is the idea of colonizing other worlds. Throughout history, human expansion has often come at a cost, displacing indigenous peoples, exploiting resources, and waging wars over land. If we find a habitable planet, do we have the right to claim it? What if life already exists there? Even microbial life would raise enormous moral questions. Do we terraform a world to suit our needs, even if it destroys an existing ecosystem? The risk of repeating past mistakes on a cosmic scale is something we can't ignore. Then there's the danger of encountering intelligent extraterrestrial life. The idea of making first contact is both exciting and unpredictable. If we send signals or travel to distant star systems, we have no way of knowing how another civilization might respond. Would they welcome us or see us as a threat? The late Stephen Hawking once warned that reaching out to alien civilizations could be as dangerous as when European explorers encountered indigenous peoples on Earth, with potentially devastating consequences. The question isn't just whether we should seek out alien life, but how we should approach it responsibly. And even if we don't find life, space itself presents unknown dangers. A mission to another star is a leap into the unknown. There could be cosmic hazards we haven't yet imagined. Black holes, deadly radiation, or even rogue planets drifting through the darkness. And then there's the psychological toll. Would humans be able to handle the isolation of deep space travel? What happens when an entire generation is born and raised aboard a spacecraft, never knowing the world from which their ancestors came? Interstellar travel is more than just a scientific challenge. It's a test of our wisdom, our ethics, and our ability to think beyond immediate desires. If we don't approach it with care, we could unleash consequences we aren't prepared to handle. But if we do get it right, if we step into the cosmos with responsibility and foresight, then humanity's greatest adventure may also be its greatest triumph. The question is, how close are we to taking that first step? So, how close are we to making interstellar travel a reality? Will we see it in our lifetime? Or is it a dream for future generations? The answer isn't simple, but one thing is clear. We are taking the first steps. Right now, scientists, engineers, and space agencies around the world are laying the groundwork for technologies that could one day take us beyond our solar system. While we may not be boarding a warp-capable starship tomorrow, the progress being made is real and accelerating. For instance, NASA has already begun exploring advanced propulsion systems that could dramatically cut travel times. Projects like the Breakthrough Starshot initiative aim to send tiny, light-powered probes to the nearest star within a single human lifetime. Using powerful laser arrays on Earth, these spacecraft, no larger than a computer chip, could be accelerated to 20% the speed of light, reaching Proxima Centauri in just over 20 years. It's not quite a crude mission, but it's proof that interstellar travel isn't just science fiction anymore. Private companies are also pushing the boundaries. SpaceX, Blue Origin, and other commercial space firms are revolutionizing access to space with reusable rockets and ambitious plans for Mars colonization. Although their current focus is on our own solar system, the technologies they develop, such as next-generation propulsion, artificial gravity habitats, and deep space survival systems, could form the foundation for future interstellar missions. But no single country or company can do this alone. If humanity is serious about reaching the stars, international cooperation will be essential. Already, space agencies from the US, Europe, China, and other nations are working together on long-term projects like the Artemis program and the Lunar Gateway. The lessons we learn from these missions, how to sustain human life in space, how to build permanent off-world settlements, will be crucial stepping stones toward interstellar travel. So, when could we actually expect to see a crewed mission to another star? Realistically, we are still centuries away from anything like a warp drive. Yet breakthroughs in fusion propulsion, antimatter research, and even warp physics could bring that timeline closer than we expect. Some experts believe that within the Next 50 to 100 years, we may see human missions reaching the outer edges of our solar system, and perhaps even launching the first interstellar probes with future generations in mind. We are at the very beginning of this journey, standing on the edge of something extraordinary. The first people to set foot on another star system may not have been born yet, or they could be us. The question is, will we be the generation that takes the first leap? Science. Fiction has always been more than mere entertainment. It's a glimpse into the possible, a blueprint for the future. Long before humanity set foot on the moon, we imagined voyages to distant worlds, alien encounters, and starships crossing the galaxy at unimaginable speeds. But here's the thing. Many of those wild ideas, once dismissed as fantasy, have become reality. So, what if our most ambitious sci-fi dreams, warp drives, interstellar colonies, even artificial gravity, are not just fiction, but the next steps in human evolution? Take Star Trek, for example. In the 1960s, the idea of a handheld communicator seemed futuristic until it inspired the invention of the flip phone. The show's pads? They're eerily similar to today's tablets. Even the concept of a warp drive, one of the franchise's most iconic technologies, is now being seriously studied by physicists, with researchers like Miguel Alcubierre and Eric Lentz proposing real theoretical models based on Einstein's equations. What once seemed impossible is now on the table, not just in Hollywood, but in research labs around the world. And it's not just Star Trek. 2001, A Space Odyssey envisioned AI assistants long before we had Siri and Alexa, while The Martian gave us a realistic depiction of Mars colonization, something NASA and SpaceX are actively working toward. Elon Musk himself has admitted that his vision for a multiplanetary civilization is partly fueled by the sci-fi he grew up with. Science fiction doesn't just predict the future, it creates it, inspiring scientists and engineers to turn imagination into innovation. Even interstellar travel, once considered a distant dream, is now a serious field of study. Researchers are actively developing fusion rockets, laser-propelled starships, and even theoretical warp technology. What was once confined to books and movies is now the subject of real-world physics papers. The line between fiction and reality is blurring, and if history has taught us anything, it's that today's science fiction is often tomorrow's technology. So, what if our wildest sci-fi dreams were merely blueprints for our future? What if, decades from now, humans truly are traveling between the stars, building cities on alien worlds and making first contact with intelligent life? The stories that once filled our books and screens may not be so far-fetched after all. And if that's true, what will we dream of next? For all of human history, we have been explorers. From the first people who ventured beyond the safety of their caves to the sailors who crossed vast, uncharted oceans, we have always been driven by the same question: what's out there? Now, as we stand on the edge of a new frontier, that question is bigger than ever. Are we on the brink of becoming an interstellar civilization? For the first time, the dream of reaching the stars is no longer just a fantasy. It's a real possibility. The discoveries being made today, from advanced propulsion technologies to breakthroughs in physics, are laying the foundation for the next great age of exploration. Just as the invention of the steam engine transformed travel on Earth, or as the first rockets carried us beyond our atmosphere, today's innovations could one day carry us to distant worlds. Imagine a future where starships leave Earth not as one-way missions, but as part of an expanding human presence in the galaxy. Imagine cities on distant planets, new cultures forming under the light of alien suns, and generations of explorers pushing ever deeper into the unknown. Imagine looking up at the night sky, not as an unreachable expanse, but as a map of future destinations. This isn't just about technology. It's about something deeper. It's about our place in the universe. Right now, we are a single-species civilization living on a fragile rock in the vastness of space. But what if we could change that? What if we could take our first true step beyond Earth, ensuring the survival and evolution of our species for generations to come? We are at the dawn of something extraordinary. The next chapter of the human story isn't merely about exploring new lands. It's about expanding the very limits of what it means to be human. The first interstellar travelers may already be among us, growing up in a world where the impossible is becoming possible. The question isn't if we will go, but when. The stars are waiting. The only question is, who will be the first to go? Humanity stands at the edge of the greatest journey in history. The moment when we turn our gaze from the night sky and step into the cosmos. The path to the stars won't be easy, and it won't happen overnight. But every great journey begins with a single step. The question is, will you be part of it? The future of space. Exploration isn't solely in the hands of scientists and engineers. It's in all of us. Every new discovery, every mission, every breakthrough happens because people believe in the dream and work tirelessly to make it real. Whether it's by supporting space agencies, staying informed about new research, or simply keeping the dream alive, every action matters. The more we push for progress, the closer we come to the day when interstellar travel is no longer a dream, but a reality. So, stay curious. Follow the latest developments in space technology. Support the people and organizations making this future possible. And most of all, keep looking up. The same stars that inspired our ancestors are the guiding lights that will shape our future. One day, a generation will set foot on another star system, looking back at Earth as a distant memory. That generation may not be born yet, or it could be us. The adventure of a lifetime isn't science fiction anymore. It's waiting. So tell us, will you be part of the generation that touches the stars?